I tell this story from a place that surprises me calm, not healed, not triumphant, just steady enough to remember without shaking. Thanksgiving was loud that year. Too many chairs, not enough space, people talking over one another the way families do when they've known each other too long. I remember carrying a tray back to the kitchen when my cousin stood up from the table. I thought she was going to make a toast. She didn't look at me when she spoke. She looked at my parents. Her words landed without warning, and the room seemed to tilt. Accusation first, pregnancy second. The implication heavy enough that no one asked questions. Someone gasped. Someone else said my name like it was already past tense. I remember thinking there must be a mistake so obvious it would correct itself. It didn't. My parents didn't shout. That's the part that still aches. They went quiet, the way people do when they think they're being dignified. My mother said she needed air. My father told me leave. I tried to speak. My voice didn't cooperate. By the end of the night, my phone had stopped ringing. By morning, my wife was packing a bag. She cried while she did it, repeating that she didn't know what to believe, which was her way of saying she couldn't afford to believe me. I need space, she said. Space turned into distance. Distance turned into divorce. No charges were filed. That detail confused people later, as if the absence of courtrooms meant the absence of damage. The truth is simpler accusation doesn't need a verdict to work. It only needs belief. I lost my job quietly. My manager avoided eye contact and said something about restructuring. Friends stopped inviting me places. A neighbor asked me not to walk my dog past their house anymore. I learned how to move through the world without taking up space. I changed cities, took work no one asked questions about, introduced myself carefully, always watching for the moment my name might mean something else to someone. For years, I waited for the truth to surface on its own. I thought it would have to. Lies like that couldn't survive sunlight. But lies survive just fine when people prefer the dark. What surprised me wasn't the cruelty. It was the boredom. After a while, I wasn't a scandal. I was a rumor with no energy left in it. That's something people remembered vaguely and avoided politely. I stopped trying to clear my name. Not because I gave up, but because I had to build something that didn't depend on anyone else's permission. I found a rhythm. Paid my bills. Made one friend who never asked about my past. Learned how to sleep through the night again. 12 years passed like that. Not quickly. Just steadily. The truth came back into my life through paperwork. An envelope arrived from a law office I didn't recognize. Inside were copies of medical records, affidavits, dates laid out cleanly on a timeline that finally made sense. The pregnancy had never been possible. The timeline didn't align. The story had been stitched together to cover something else, someone else. My cousin had told another lie years later. That one collapsed under scrutiny. And when it did, the first one unraveled with it. I didn't feel relief when I read the documents. I felt tired. Authority entered my life again, not with drama, but with procedure. Attorneys spoke in careful language. Judges looked at facts, not faces. The truth emerged the way it usually does, slowly, impersonally, too late to fix what it breaks. My parents called after the ruling. My mother cried. My father said he'd done what he thought was right at the time. I didn't argue. The lawsuit wasn't about revenge. It was about record. About making sure the accusation didn't outlive me. The damages were calculated by people who had never met me, numbers attached to years they could only approximate. When the judgments came down, they were severe. Not theatrical. Just final. Assets liquidated. Accounts frozen. Bankruptcies filed. People expected me to celebrate, to feel vindicated. What I felt was quieter than that. Justice gave me my name back on paper. It didn't give me my marriage. It didn't rewind 12 years. It didn't teach my parents how to trust their son. Some relationships collapsed under the weight of what they'd done. Others remained, reshaped and fragile. Forgiveness was discussed like a deadline. I didn't agree to one. I live well now. Not lavishly. Honestly, I have a job where my reputation is built on what I do, not what I'm rumored to have done. I have a small circle. I don't explain myself unless I choose to. Sometimes I think about that night, about how quickly a life can be rewritten by someone else's certainty. The truth arrived late, but it arrived with enough force to change the future, even if it couldn't repair the past. And I've learned this much: if nothing else, the identity isn't just who you are when people believe you. It's who you remain when they don't.